glad to join you for another episode of The Nerd Out. My name is Lyle.
I am Jack. We are here.
We are. It's Monday morning, our time. I think we're both kind of dragging a little bit today.
It was a good day yesterday.
Is it the heat, you think?
The heat is on, as the song says.
That's right. Beverly Hills Cop.
The heat is on.
Right?
Yep. Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy.
I remember when I used to work at the Apple store, and our good friend Dan Hartman worked there with me. The air went out, and he literally went, like, no air conditioning in the middle of summer. And he turned that song on like
Did
7
really?
computers.
That's such a Dan thing and funny.
Oh, man. Yeah. One manager was not happy. The other manager thought it was hilarious. So,
That is hilarious.
yeah.
And everybody who works there never forgets that moment.
It was good. It was really
So,
good.
yes, the heat is here. Summer, I think, is arriving. I think spring has, did we have 3 days of spring this year? Or maybe 4?
I mean, we say that, but you think about it. Like,
Was
sure,
it actually cooler?
we hit 100 in March,
Which was
but
ridiculous.
then we're also here in May, and there just last week it was what, in the 70s? A couple
Yeah,
days.
that's true.
So
That's true. Anyway, but summer's
like,
here.
it's the old Tucson weather. Go home. You're
The
drunk.
the old Pueblo.
Is it El Nino as well? The El Nino year.
That's what I thought. I read that's going to change. I don't know how they even predict that. I'm not a meteorologist.
They know. And apparently it's regular. So
Cumulus clouds. I remember that from science class. But
winning right there. Remember one type of cloud. All right, progress over perfection. That was the Sunday yesterday.
Yep.
That's what we talked about. We're value 4 of our new 7 core key values
yep,
in
4
our
or
Elements Essential Series. 5.
5.
That's right, value 5, because I
Yep.
did 3.
Not that we rank them, but there you go.
Yeah. So over halfway through. 2 more weeks. To wrap this up, also join us next Sunday, beginning of service. We've got a nice, cool announcement. I know it's not a big announcement. He's calling it a medium announcement now. And if you read the sermon notes, he just told you what it is
I
anyway.
literally told you what
So-
it was. If you read the sermon notes.
right.
If you didn't read the sermon notes, well, then you're still in the dark.
That's right. So
Should we tell you right now?
some
No, we're not.
refreshing of things.
No, we're not.
Yes. Coming up this Sunday.
Come and find out.
Join us for that. We're excited about it. But yeah, progress over perfection. We'll dive in here with our 5 takeaways, and we'll get into some questions.
Sure.
And we'll go from there. So sanctification is normative, not optional. We are meant to grow up spiritually. Takeaway number 2 says sanctification is a process, not an event. It takes time, so give yourself grace. Number 3, sanctification is empowered by God, not you. You cooperate, but the Spirit does the transforming. Number 4, progress matters more than perfection. Small steps forward are worth celebrating. And number 5, the final takeaway, we cheer one another forward. We don't cancel people, we support them in growth.
Yep.
So there was our summary. In 5 statements.
Thank you, software and helpful tips.
Indeed. Yeah, you started out, talked about the construction zone, and obviously a fitting analogy considering
If you
the
have been around,
construction zone that has surrounded the church
I was going to say,
for the last 2 years.
listen, construction's all over Tucson, but you happen to be right in the heart of one of the bigger ones right now.
Well, the number of people who've come to church and like they can't turn left or they can't turn certain ways that they would have in the past. But
It'll be nice when it's done.
maybe a couple months ago, there's a point where it struck us that we couldn't leave our house and drive more than a mile without running into construction in any direction.
Ugh.
Like no matter what we did. And
No way to avoid it.
no, like it's just
You're
not
on an
fun.
island. And yet the imagery is construction. Okay, no one drives through Grant and Alvernon right now and thinks they should have this done in a weekend. Like, we understand construction takes a while, but sometimes we don't see ourselves as people under construction, which is the old $10 theology word of sanctification, the process of, yes, we are a new creation in Christ. That's our salvation. We're saved because of our faith in Jesus when we trust him as our Savior. But at the same time, we're then invited into, as a follower of Jesus now, more than just a fan, as a follower who steps into the process of the refining and transforming work of the Spirit of God alive and active in you. And that's what Paul is getting at in Philippians 3 and Philippians 1, as he's talking about you are a work in progress, you're under construction. And sometimes we all wrestle, we mentioned this last night, we all wrestle with that thought of, I feel like I should be further along by now. I bet you've wrestled with that question. I know I have at times when you still feel like you're slipping up on the same bad habits, or like you feel like you should be a better master of prayer by now, or a better understanding of how to serve people and not be so irritable all the time. So there's a couple thoughts in there, but yeah, we're invited into the sanctification process, which is basically a construction process. We're all a work in progress, and perfection's not real. It's a curated illusion. And so it is this idea of we want to be a church that celebrates people moving forward and taking steps of progress. And if you're not dead, you're not done. God's not done, and you still got work to do and steps to take.
Yeah. It was also interesting because talked a lot about ourselves and how we feel that about ourselves, and I think that's very valid. But man, I've almost seen it more so that people, as much as they feel that about themselves, they still don't, like they still have the high expectations of others. Mm-hmm. So it was good that we looked at both sides of that like we've got to have grace for ourselves, but also grace for others, because we don't know where they're at in their construction journey.
Right.
Like we don't know when that started on them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just how does viewing our spiritual journey then maybe as a construction zone rather than, oh, I'm saved, now I'm the finished product, how does that change the way that we should see ourselves and the way that we should see our relationship with God? Maybe even the way that the ebb and flow of that relationship works.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the other value we talk about, followers, not fans. That
Week one,
yeah. Hearken back. Hearken. Okay. The idea of it's an ongoing invitation, relational invitation to keep following Jesus, which is why I love the word apprentice, I think it's Willard and others who talk about that's what it really means to be a follower of Jesus, is you're apprenticing your life after him. So the way we see Jesus live, the way we see him interact with people, the way we saw him, yes, do miracles and all that, but just the normal stuff, like of living life, how to react in scenarios, how to love people who are difficult, and to meet them in those moments. That as a person who's trying to be a follower of Jesus, I want to apprentice myself, and that is a process. So U of A basketball here has an old saying called trust the process. So we're going to trust the process in that. And I would just say embrace the process is the attitude we're to have as an apprentice of Jesus, that I want to embrace the idea of the awkward and the difficult and the silent and the slip-ups and the mistakes. And as I make those mistakes, Jesus can, in a basketball way, roll the film and go, look what we did wrong here, and go, okay, now let's learn from that and let's get back up and keep going. And the next time we face that scenario, how do we get better at trying to handle that?
Yeah. But how often, too, do we forget? I know that was probably a big lesson for me 6 or 7 years ago. Am I supposed to do that? Just that realization that the farther you go in your journey of becoming like Christ, the farther you go into discipleship, the more marginal the gain is, and the more painful each little sliver of marginal growth.
Yeah.
Like it costs a lot. It's difficult. Like the lessons you have to learn, the farther you get along, a lot of times are much harder lessons and much more.
The intensity picks up.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like it's still a scalpel, but sometimes it's on nerve endings.
Right.
Like you just like, oh, this one hurts a lot.
And it's incremental growth, but it's significant in the way that it can impact how you view life and how you grow in intimacy with the Lord, and how you then are able to be leveraged to impact the people around you. So
it's like when you first come to Christ, there's just like this exponential growth, and everybody sees
skyrocket.
it.
Yeah.
And then you get to this point where the growth is happening internally in a way that others don't see, but they also don't see the pain that it causes It's just kind of an interesting thing. It's just, when you get that realization, it's helpful to know that, but maybe even hearing that in advance, you're just like, what? I don't know that I want that.
Yeah.
Is this what I'm signed up for? And it's like, well,
and you think back to, we talked about the growing up call of for us as Christians, and we can dive into 1 John chapter 2 here in a moment, but it is like the lessons you learn when you're in kindergarten. Remember, there's that old poster that says the best life lessons you all learn in kindergarten, like learn to share, learn, all that kind of, be kind. Yeah. And okay, those are simple lessons in kindergarten, but when you're 28 and you have some harder lessons that you're learning of like, hey, my relationship with this person went south because I'm a jerk or because I don't care and I didn't have compassion in a moment that I should have had compassion. And those are harder lessons to learn, and they have more significance. They may not have had the breadth of impact, but the depth of impact is more significant in those moments, or when you're 55, tackling different things or facing different things.
Yeah. Well, and then you talked about Paul, and so here's the Apostle Paul, which, he gets held up as almost like the super Christian. And friendly reminder, Paul's not a super Christian. Like, God used him in a significant way, and yet, First Peter talks about we're partakers of the Second Peter, is it? We're partakers of the divine nature.
Yeah,
like all of us get to participate in the divine nature, like because the Holy Spirit lives inside us. So I think a lot of times I feel like Paul maybe had access to something that we don't. And the reality is we just have the same access. And that's where Paul, who wrote almost half of our New Testament, who shaped a lot of our theology and understanding of the words of Jesus and how to live that out, he's the one who says that even he hasn't arrived yet. Didn't even go to Romans 7, where it's just
no,
like,
I didn't. Yeah.
Things that I want to do, I don't do enough. The things I don't do are the things that I want to do. Like, it's just...
Right. And the tension he wrestles, which I think that's the point, is it is a tension that you wrestle with. But yeah, when you realize in Philippians 3, he's saying, I haven't arrived yet. And we tend to think, oh gosh, if Paul hasn't arrived yet, then is there any hope for me? And that's refers back to what he writes, what the Spirit invited him to write in Philippians 1, that God, who began a good work in you, will be faithful to complete it on the day of Christ, which is, if you're not home yet, you're not done yet. And so you're still under construction, a work in progress. And so it's the invitation for us to understand our life is in progress and in process. So...
Well, and, the way that they put it in the question here is like, what does it reveal about the spiritual maturity that even someone of his stature acknowledged that he was still in process? And so I would even wonder, what does it reveal about spiritual maturity? Is that part of maturity? And that's because Paul had reached maturity. Yes. He understood that he was still a work in progress. And sometimes we're acting out of our immaturity to feel like, well, I should be farther along by now. I thought I was beyond this.
That's a good take.
Had the maturity to recognize, hey, I'm one bad decision away from throwing this all away. So I still need the gospel today as much as I needed on the first day.
It's understanding so much. Dallas Willard talks so much about, Christians understand that grace is what saves us, but we need to also understand it's grace is what fuels us in the moment of growth and development, to become more and more like Jesus, that we need his grace activated in our everyday, just as we needed his grace to save us on that one day. And so we need to live burning that fuel of his grace. And so maybe that's the idea of, as a Christian, the Christian life is not about growing up and becoming impressive. It's about growing up in our spiritual growth, but staying humble and understanding that it's about dependency on the Spirit of God. As he continues to take the little scalpel and chisel away or cut away at the maybe the big character flaws earlier on, and then the smaller character flaws, or corners of our heart that we're holding off, we're keeping away from God. And he says, no, that's a wound I want to heal, and we're going to have to deal with that. And so let's figure out if that's counseling, or if we're reading, or if that's a small group, or conversation or discussion, or that's prayer with you and me, so that this wound doesn't continue to fester and impact you. So you become more and more the healthy and whole person I want you to be.
What do you think are just because you made the comment about the grace and living in that daily, that kind of posture of surrender, what does it look like then? Like, what are some practical things then for just the everyday person? How do you return to that? What do we do to kind of create maybe triggers or reminders in our daily life so that regularly we're just reminding ourselves of that grace, or we're coming back to?
All right. I'm going to tell you something that I encountered today on my walk with Augusta. So this couple is out with 3 dogs, and so they meet, go around a corner. Mile later, we meet up past each other again, and they have 2 dogs. And I'm like, where's the 3rd dog? And the 3rd dog is in a backpack on one of the guy's back. And I said, where's your other dog? He goes, oh, he's right here in the backpack. And I'm like, a backpack dog? And he goes, yeah, this dog goes about 1.5 miles, and that's about it. And then I can put him in the backpack, and he loves being out, but he's only got 1.5 miles in him. And I thought, what a picture of grace, in a sense. Like, here's where it makes the point. That I think it's that posture of saying, Jesus, I need you. Often we approach the Christian life going, okay, Jesus, get in the backpack. I'm going to tackle life, and Jesus is going to be with me. When in reality, it's Jesus charging in life, and I need to get in the backpack and realize that I need to continually base myself in the fact that I need him. So what's the old hymn? I need thee, oh, I need thee.
Every hour I need thee.
Every other, yeah.
Yep.
So what if that was the posture of my heart as I begin my prayer time in the morning, or at any point during the day when I want to grow my awareness to go, okay, yes, I get to participate. I have agency over my life and ownership over my life. But the reality is I want to continue to have a posture of surrender, a posture of, I need thee. I need your strength. I need your wisdom. I need your insight. I need to know when to shut up. I need to know when to talk, when to be quiet. And so it's that posture of dependency. We're ingrained to want to grow up and become impressive in so much of our life. And we do want to grow up in maturity, but I think the more mature you become as a believer, you just realize, gosh, I really need God a lot more than maybe I realized 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah. I think that there's probably a sense that the things that you do to pull yourself back to that have to change, because you can set reminders in your phone until you start ignoring them.
Right.
And so it's time to change, find the next thing. You know, what's the next thing? But it's always important. We always called it, when I was in college, I had a mentor called the rubber band principle. That life will stretch you, but what do you snap back to? So what's your rubber band of, like, what's the thing that's going to help you snap back to what's important? Is it a new phone background? Is it putting cards up around your house, putting, index cards in your car with verses, or just things that you want to think about? Like, just putting visual cues in your life in different ways that help draw your heart back to God. Just give you the reminder that I need to live in that grace.
Yeah. And what if you included someone else in that? So you set a reminder that at 10:24 every morning, I'm going to text a friend a verse that I read, or every other day I'm going to text a verse to them. And when I hit send on that verse, I'm actually taking a quick second to go, okay, this verse is for me too. And so what would that be? And maybe that's the beauty of spiritual growth, of sanctification, is that the process is going to look different for you than it is for me. And it's going to look different in different seasons of your life, or if you're a Taylor Swift fan, different eras of your life. I worked in the Era Tour. That's nice. Okay. So the idea of just...
That's what you're proud about?
Yeah. Girl dad. Okay. So the idea of just in different times, like I know I've had different moments where silence and solitude, probably a decade ago, was a major thrust God used for me to get to a more reflective prayer life and a more contemplative approach to life versus the grind that I was stuck in. And now it's the solitude still very much a part of it. That's taking the dog on a hike once a week is like a big rhythm of my life. And just being out away from everything. But there's other practices that God's trying to, I think, woo me into right now of like, okay, I need to begin to pick up maybe fasting a little bit more. I need to pick up some other habits or spiritual disciplines that for this season, I think he's calling me, inviting me into because he wants to use that practice to help refine me.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to change again 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And that's the beauty of it. So there was some stuff. I don't know if this is where you want me to put it in.
If it makes sense.
John Ortberg.
I think that's important, though, that you talked about their practices. So we don't get them right. Like,
yeah,
their practice. Like, we practice.
It takes practice.
Them.
Yeah.
So, like, even then, we're in a construction zone. Have grace as you engage in a practice.
Oh, yeah.
So,
like, I remember the very first time I ever practiced solitude and silence. I went out to Pima Canyon, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be quiet, going to connect with God. And I sat there in Pima Canyon for half an hour. And I was like, this is driving me nuts. And my mind wouldn't stop and it was racing like crazy. And I kept trying to just say a prayer. I'd read a psalm, try to quiet my mind. And then I'd sit there and it'd be quiet and I hear an owl or a bird. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what that bird does. And then I'm like that dog from Up that's just squirrel. And like, oh, gosh, it was horrible. I sat there for an hour and it was the worst hour of my life. It was ridiculous because I was just a mess internally. And then the next week came around to try it again. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that again. Went back out and it was better the second time. I was less noisy in myself internally. And it just became a practice, so much so that over the next few years, like I got to a place where I would do a 2-day retreat. And I could be by myself for 2 days and love it and actually have it be life-giving. And that first hour, I would have told you there's no way this is going to work. This is not for me. So you may say that to journaling. The first time you tried journaling, or the first time you tried a prayer journal, or the first time you to try to pray, the first time you try to read the Bible. Like, it is practice. You gotta work at it and you gotta work through the kinks and work through the hurdles that come with any new practice. So, John Ortberg kind of wrote these. I didn't have this in the sermon, so he just talks about many approaches to spiritual growth assume the same methods will produce the same growth in different people, but they don't. Meaning the same way that one baseball player works on something. I don't know if I'm a Pirates fan. Paul Skeens has very unique warm-up exercises and routines as a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates that I've never seen any other pitcher do. Like, it's just weird, some of it. But it's unique for him, and it helps him. Other people might do the same thing, and it would be damaging to their rotation or to how they carry things out. So each of us created unique by God. The key is not treating every creature alike. Every creature we know, from an elephant to a field mouse, needs light, food, air, water, but in different amounts and different conditions. And so why not be the same with us? Imagine going to a doctor's office where every patient is told, take 2 aspirin. Imagine a parent who thinks, I will treat all my children exactly the same way, and they will all be motivated by the same rewards and impacted by punishment the same way and attracted to the same activities. If you're a parent, you know that's not true. So you really want to help someone flourish, you got to find what fits their uniqueness. And that's the goodness of God, is he's going to invite you to go into your process in the unique ways that he wants to use to shape you. So John talks about this. He had Abraham take a walk, Elijah take a nap, Joshua take a lap. He gave Moses a 40-year timeout. He gave David a harp and a dance. He gave Paul a pen and a scroll. He wrestled with Jacob, argued with Job, whispered with Elijah, warned Cain, and comforted Hagar. He gave Aaron an altar, Miriam a song, Gideon a fleece, Peter a name, and Elisha a mantle. Jesus was stern with a rich young ruler, tender with a woman caught in adultery, patient with his disciples, blistering with the scribes and Pharisees, gentle with the children, and gracious to the thief on the cross. God never grows two people the exact same way. He has a plan for me that he wants me to tackle and be on, and he has a plan for you and everyone else. And so we need to find the freedom of the Spirit of God to say, what's my next steps that you're inviting me to go on? And what are some of the spiritual practices, spiritual habits? What are the rhythms that you want to build into my life to help me deal with what I need to deal with? Because that's going to be different than maybe what he wants to do in your life. So,
Right.
Anyway, little rant, but there you go.
Oh, it's not rant. That's good. Maybe some of us get tripped up because we're just holding on to failures in the past. So like those failures just kind of haunt us. And so
Like a shackle on.
we're just like, man, I should be farther along than this by now. I keep, as a dog returns to its vomit, like I just keep feel like I'm going back to my sin. Like,
Yeah.
yep. You read this verse in Philippians 3. Paul talks about forgetting what lies behind. So
Impressive.
what's the difference between pretending the past didn't happen and learning from the past without letting it control you?
Learning. That's the key. Do you have a posture where you're allowing yourself to own your mistakes or the difficulties that were dealt to you, to go, God, okay, I can't change that. That's what I think Paul means by forgetting what is behind. I can't change either what I did or what was done to me. I can't go back in time and make that different. But can I learn? Can I be open to what the Spirit of God wants to do in my heart to either heal me or to help me? And so can I learn from my mistakes and go, okay, God, here I am again. I messed up. I did this. I did that, whatever that is. And I need to confess that, which means I need to own that. I did it. No one else. I did it. Gosh, and I know you had to die on the cross for that, along with a host of other things that I've done. So thank you for forgiving me for that. But God, would you help me learn now as I get back up and move forward to continue to take those steps, that I would return to this less often, or I would not return at all to this. I would be able to let this go. And are there things that I need to put in place in order to help me return less to this, or to be able to truly leave it behind and fully press on? So for some of you, you maybe have had some trauma or drama in your life and you've never seen a counselor. And you can pray like crazy to ask God to help you. And you can have willpower to a certain extent to make changes. And that's important. That's needed. But maybe one of the missing steps for you is some other counseling or therapy that can help you put some things to rest and go, yeah, I can't change that, but I don't have to be a victim. I can actually choose to press on toward victory and to grow up and get better, not just continue to stay stuck. So one example, but there's a host of examples on that.
What do you think prevents people from choosing to learn from the past, though? Like,
Shame.
maybe some people don't pretend that it didn't happen, but they can't let go of the fact that it did happen, and they refuse to learn, like, or they can't, whether it's shame or trauma, like what is it?
Or guilt.
How do you work through that to get to the point where you're ready to learn or to pray the prayers that you just kind of,
I think that's part of,
as an example there, just gave?
The debate of, can I really be forgiven for that? Or am I really forgiven for that? Or can that story that played out in my life be just a story and not the whole filter over my life? And so part of that, I think, is getting to a place where you're trusting God enough that he's big enough and loving enough to carry you forward from either that trauma that happened or the mistakes and missteps that you made, and that he's big enough and caring and loving enough that he wants to help you move forward.
Yeah.
Because I think for some of us, we go, okay, God forgives me or God can help me, but we don't truly understand how much God loves us. I think that's the beauty of what John writes in 1 John, that spiritual fathers and mothers, they know him who is from the beginning. That there's a sense of deep intimacy. The longer I walk with Jesus, the more I'm amazed by his love. And that's what John writes in the Gospel of John, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John. Like he's calls himself the beloved. And to his dying breath, he's trying to pour into the early church is you are loved. And you can't escape that. And may you come to know what Paul writes, the depth and width and breadth and height of the love of Christ, so that it will change you.
Yeah.
And some of us have trust issues, like if we're honest. So to trust God to truly love me because I had a parent who walked away, or I had a loved one or a relationship that I thought was going to lead to this, and then they walked away, like we faced abandonment. And so we struggled to trust.
Or even just
or we've been hurt.
They've been a part of a church that didn't do things well.
Right.
And once they saw how the sausage was made, it was just,
Totally. I mean, that's what so much of church hurt or deconstructing faith stems from a wound of some kind and not getting that wound healed.
Usually when you're young as well. Like, was that we both saw the same clip from like 5 to 17.
Yeah.
Where they were wounded somehow. Yeah.
Right. Which, again, for some of you, and in case I haven't said it enough, I go to a counselor. I think healthy people seek out counsel. I think unhealthy people hide. And if you're tired of being unhealthy, then can I just invite you, maybe stop hiding? And so invest in a key relationship, someone you trust, confess some things, own some things, and go, could you help me learn? Can you help me get better, get through this? And maybe it's a professional counselor. Maybe it's just a trusted friend. And what if we as the church said, hey, we're going to default to encouragement and helping you move forward in faith and not just canceling?
Well, that leads right into the next question, which said, how can a church community practically cheer people forward in faith rather than canceling them when they fail?
Yeah. You're better at summarizing this, but I think it goes back to that very first series we did this year. Again, the idea of creating that gospel-centered community that has these 4 key elements, and I'm going to segue up to you because I know you know this by heart better than I do.
Joy. There's just got to be a lot of joy, and it's the joy that, like, when you walk into a room and someone's face lights up to see you, like you see it in the eyes.
Yep.
Like, we need to be a community that's marked by that, where people feel like they belong, that people are welcoming them,
that they matter.
They actually have people in the room who are excited to see them. And then that projects onto God, that you feel like God actually still smiles upon you, that his eyes light up to when you choose to be with him and spend that time with him. So joy, chesed, which is the Hebrew word for love, but it's like a love that doesn't let go. It's like a sticky love that when you get those like little gummy things that a credit card and just like rolls around your finger and you're trying to
can't
like
get it off.
Yeah, it's like that, or like when you get a bunch of crazy glue and you're just like kind of like so chesed, joy, chesed, a group identity. So having just defined those, it's like creeds, but for our behavior.
Yeah.
So we know who we are. We know how our people act, like what we're called to do, and we put it in a form where we can repeat it and say it about ourselves often.
Yeah.
So we can hold ourselves to that. And then when we don't, it's having healthy correction. So we should feel some shame sometimes, because shame is an indicator that I'm not acting like my people. So when I fail to live up to the group identity, I've got joyful, Hesed-based relationships where people are calling me back to that group identity. And the shame that I feel, it's not toxic, it's not condemning. It's shame that is meant to trigger me of like, yeah, I am out of whack. And I do want to, I want to feel that joy and the fullness of belonging to the community again.
I'm stuck in a detour. I need to get back on the course.
I need to start acting like myself. I need to start acting like my people act.
Yeah. So I think having that dwell within our community, I think part of what we're doing with the Elements Essentials series is trying to create in some way, shape, or form through these values some identity statements of like, this is who we are, what we try to do. And are we going to get it perfect all the time? No. But we're going to strive to get better at being these kind of people.
Yeah, exactly. A couple more things. I'm just looking at time though. Yeah, I thought these two were good. How does our instant gratification culture make it difficult to embrace the slow, steady process of spiritual formation?
Spiritual formation is a crock pot, not a microwave. I'm trying to think of other. It's a slow cook on the Traeger, not a Instapot. So it's just a slow process, and that's okay. I think that's why we need to embrace the process. And I do think that's why silence and solitude are key habits and rhythms that help a people who live in a very fast-paced, instant gratification, instant results world in which we all navigate, to maybe set our posture of our heart to receive the slow work of the Holy Spirit at times. So maybe I'll ask this question. Are there habits or rhythms that help us embrace the slowness? I've told you before, hurry. I think it was Dallas Willard who talked about hurry being the greatest enemy to the spiritual life. And John Ortberg, who was mentored by Dallas, wrote about that and how he would always go to the grocery store and get in the longest line because we're trained to go to self-checkout because I can pack my bag faster than that guy. And so sometimes I'll make myself get in the longest line. Or when I'm at Costco, I could go to self-checkout or I could learn to wait. And so I just get in the longest line. I don't do it every time, so don't judge me if you see me in self-checkout. But occasionally, I try maybe once a week just to get in a line and force myself to wait. And go, you know what, waiting's not bad. We think waiting's bad, but maybe it just ingrains in my body and my spirit in a sense that it's so good things come to those who wait. My mom always said that. So we don't live in a seasonal environment where, when it's winter and there's snow all over the ground and then you see the blooms come up and the grass begin to grow again. We don't see that here in Tucson. But that's another good reminder for people who live in those kind of regions to go, there's activity that feels dormant, but God's still active and doing things under the ground that maybe you don't see. So behind the scenes of your life, God's active. And maybe it takes a little while for the sprouts to begin to come up and you see it.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Well, and then towards the end, you said no perfect people allowed. Other than Jesus, all right?
There's only one.
There's one. Jesus is allowed. No perfect people allowed. How would our church community be different if we really embrace this motto? And what do you think keeps us from being more honest about our struggles?
I have a friend who pastors a church in Prescott, and they have a big doormat, when they walk in their church, where their church meets, that says no perfect people allowed. And I always thought that was such a cool thing to remind people that, hey, we're all a work in progress. That's why we did the dumb high five thing on the way out. And that was dumb probably, but But hopefully,
All I could think about was the Seinfeld episode. High five.
High five. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
It's like Jerry's willing to end a relationship because the guy high fives.
That's funny.
Anyway,
Okay.
I digress. Sorry.
Well, it's better than the awkward hug church. Give 8 hugs, because that's weird.
Greet each other with a holy kiss.
No, we don't need to practice every Bible verse, do we? So, but it is that idea of, okay, how do we recognize we're all under construction? And again, that's the invitation to give yourself some grace, to realize, yeah, you're not behind, you're still in the process of becoming. And at the same time, flip that around, because the people around you are still in the process of becoming. And they may be at a different pace and a different place than you. And that's why we need to be quick to default to encouragement, not quick to judge, because we just don't know. I forget, this is often quoted to so many different people, but be kind to everyone you meet, because everyone's fighting a battle that you do not know. So I don't know who originally said that, but I've heard Augustine, I've heard others, but there's truth there.
Yeah.
That helps us have the right kind of posture toward things. So,
Well, that was something I was thinking last night, that we often hear we are human beings, that's what we're called. We exist, and yet because we're always in this process, we're also human becomings. And I think that that's important to keep in mind, that because we're all in process, we're all becoming like something. The goal is, let's make sure we're becoming like Christ.
and I think it's that tension
as much as we
between
can.
progress and perfection, that the more AI becomes a reality of life and influence to so many different things, it curates this concept of perfection, or this illusion of everyone should be further along. Everything should be perfect. Everything should run smoothly. And yes, if you're trying to get into the World Cup a month from now, I hope everything runs smoothly to get in. But the reality is, not everything runs smoothly. I don't always run smoothly. We all have off days. And how can I keep growing into my next steps on the off days and the good days?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Well, got some applications here just as we kind of wrap it up.
Yep.
Practical application, 3 of them this week. So pray about it and see where the Lord invites you to engage with one or all of them. So number 1 is, what is one next step that God is inviting you to take right now? So some examples, maybe he wants you to re-engage with Scripture. Maybe he wants you to confess a struggle to somebody, to a friend, or confess a struggle to a trusted mentor. Surrendering an area where you've closed yourself off to something. Maybe it's serving others, or just pursuing community. So what's one next step God is inviting you to take right now? 2, what is one area of your past that you need to forget and stop letting control you, so that you can start to press forward the way that Paul would? I think journaling is a good one with that, as Jack just regularly recommends. Even getting connected to a counselor and someone who God has gifted to understand the mind and how our minds work, so that they can help you make sense of what your mind is doing and help you get a healthy mind. We want to have good mental health, and there are people that God has gifted with intelligence that help us understand how we can have that. Why wouldn't we use that? So that's the second one. One area of your past you need to forget so that you can press forward. And then the final one, who in your life needs you to cheer them forward instead of holding them to a standard of perfection? The answer to that question may be yourself. But the reality is, there's probably some others in your life that you've projected expectations onto, whether you know you're doing it or not. But pray about that. Who in your life needs you to just cheer them forward instead of holding them to a standard of perfection? So
that's good.
there we go.
All right, and one final thing, and then I'll let you close this out here. But I didn't have this in the message. Sometimes churches measure spiritual progress in terms of commitment. How committed are you? But commitment is not the same as Christ-likeness.
No.
And that's what we want to be, a church who measures Christ-likeness. Am I growing more like him? So Dallas Willard, I know we quote him a lot, was once asked, how do you monitor the condition of your soul? And his immediate response was, I regularly ask myself 2 questions. So here's the 2 questions. Am I growing more or less easily irritated these days? Am I growing more or less easily discouraged these days? Those are weighty questions that help you understand the condition of your soul. And I'm a big fan of Dallas. And so just, if those are good questions for him, those are probably good questions for me to help me know, okay, where am I at?
Absolutely. That's good. Well, that's the prayer. Even as we go through this series about these key values, is how can we work to live these out together? Because certainly not going to be able to do it just by ourselves. So we're grateful that you've chosen to join us in that journey and be a part of that. And we just love getting to do this together. And we're really trying to help create a framework for us to come back to understand why we do what we do and why we go about all of this the way that we do. And the end goal is always sanctification. We want to become more like Jesus in all of it. So that's our prayer over you. It's a prayer even for ourselves. And so make the time to join us this coming Sunday. Again, we've got a whole refresh coming your way soon. You'll be seeing. So
you could tell if they've made it this far.
Well, if you made it this far, maybe we'll even give you a little sneak peek.
Oh, what?
We'll give you a little sneak peek here in a couple moments as we close out. So hope you all have a great week, and we'll see y'all soon.